Hare Krishna. Question: is it shallow understanding of Krishna consciousness to see in miracles only the natural laws and not the deities' reciprocation? Answer: I'll be answering this purely as a philosophical question, and although this question has originated from the context of whether the Panchatattva shed tears or whether it was condensation, whatever I am going to speak has is not a statement about that issue at all, and it is a purely philosophical answer that I'll be giving, and I don't mean to make any judgment or any statement about the exalted devotees who are serving Panchatattva in various ways. I respect those devotees, and I am discussing this. I respect those devotees very deeply, and I am discussing this issue primarily as a philosophical issue. Does seeing like natural laws instead of the deity's reciprocation amount to a shallow understanding of Krishna consciousness? Yes, it can, but not always. If we are not able to, if we don't see the deity's reciprocation, yes, it can be a superficial understanding. But if we don't look at natural laws, by that also we may be superficially misled. But we may be misled because of a superficial vision. So I'll give some examples, let me start with some examples from Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Thakur of how the practice of deity worship was exploited by caste brahmanas for their own ulterior motives. So he gives the example of how, he gives stories, an example about how some pujaris, they show a shaligram, and then when people offer nuts, they use the same shaligram to break the nuts, and then they eat the nuts for themselves. So they have no reverence. And similarly, he tells the story of how a pujari locked the deity room and then was eating the bhoga himself, and then he was caught because of a mistake. So the point is that there is this, like by Prabhupada's mercy and Krishna's mercy, may not be happening in ISKCON, but there is a lot of exploitation that happens, malpractices that happen because of the supposed surrounding deity worship. Now there have been allegations that there was a daru auction for getting the daru for Jagannath in this year for the Nauka Levara. Now, irrespective of whether they are true or not, there's no doubt that the whole practice of deity worship has been exploited by greedy priests for their own purposes, and nothing can make big money for those priests as much as the claim that a particular deity has performed a miracle. So people with vested agendas can claim miracles have happened, and gullible people will believe it without considering whether natural explanations are available or not. Now we see in our tradition also, when Raghunandan Thakur, when he was a boy, he offered the bhoga to deity, and the deity ate the bhoga. And when his mother was told, mother was surprised, and the mother told the father Mukunda Das, and Mukunda Das said, he was not sure, maybe is this a child, he has eaten in secret, children are sometimes naughty and may not have control over their senses. So that means here in the first instance, Mukundas did not immediately accept the claim of the miracle. He did a test. What was the test? The test was that he asked Raghunandan to offer again. And while it was offered again, he watched secretly, and then he saw the deity coming down from the altar and taking food. And that was the time he accepted it as a miracle. So certain amount of reservation in accepting miracles is evident in this pastime, even among a devotee family, with one devotee with regards to another devotee. Mukunda's respect with regard to his son, Raghunandan. So now, if we blindly neglect all natural explanations, what can happen? Now, some of the scenarios that I will depict over here, they have happened in certain certain caste Brahmin run temples, and they can be quite distressing for our devotional sentiments. But these are the realities that can happen. So, suppose there is a pujari and there is a cook, and then the pujari goes to offer some food made by the cook, and there is a grudge between the pujari and the cook. So pujari keeps the say a glass of juice right next to the sill on near the altar, and in this jar spills. At that time, the pujari says that your cooking is so lousy, you are such a poor, pathetic devotee, that the Lord has rejected your food. Lord has rejected your food. So now, this would be terrible if we don't look at natural causes. Was the glass kept close to the border because of which it fell off? Right? The natural cause is gravity. If we don't look at the natural cause, then we will be naive and gullible. And further, say if somebody keeps a bhoga over there, a pujari keeps a bhoga, and then finds afterwards that the chapati is half eaten, the laddu is half eaten over there. And now there are, unfortunately, this is very regrettable, but there are temples in India where there are rats on the altar. And suppose we believe that this bhoga was eaten by the deity when it was actually eaten by a rat. So now is refusing to look whether there is a rat or not in the area, is that a sign of deep Krishna consciousness, a deep bhakti? Not necessarily. So, like this, if we just don't look at natural causes, then we may end up ascribing to Krishna things which have natural causes originating in carelessness or vested interests. So it's our acharyas have worked, Srila Bhakti Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur before that, and Srila Prabhupada have worked tirelessly, often incurring the wrath of the smart Brahmins and those who consider themselves traditional Gaudiya Vaishnavas but who are Sahajiyas, to try to protect Krishna Bhakti from such material exploiters or from Sahajiyas. So that's why now looking at natural causes is not in and of itself reflective of a superficial or shallow understanding of Krishna consciousness. Yes, if we hear from Guru Sadhu Shastra that this particular event is a miracle, then there is no need for us to look for natural causes. And if there is a particular situation where there is no explicit statement from Shastra, and the Vaishnavas who are involved have different opinions, take different positions, then to label one position as superficial and label another position as deep reflects more of an individual principle, individual preference, rather than a philosophically sound understanding. So, if we are not to let the whole system of deity worship be exploited by either materialistic priests who are out to make money by claiming miracles for their deities, or by Sahajiyas who often want to promote their own glory or settle their own scores and use deity for their own purposes, then we need to have a basic level of critical inquiry. And as I said, there are, from Bhakti Thakur's example as well as Mukunda's example, there are adequate precedents in our tradition for not accepting not immediately jumping to the conclusion that the deities are reciprocating, but looking for alternative explanations. So alternative explanations, looking for natural explanations, can in certain situations be reflective of superficial understanding. So, for example, if there is a miracle that has happened and that has been declared to be so by Guru Sadhu Shastra unanimously, then to try to reduce it to a to natural laws, yes, that is definitely a shallow understanding. So somebody who claims that instead of Krishna did not lift Govardhan, he simply lifted a mountain. Krishna just lifted a small boulder, and later on people exaggerated it. This is definitely against Guru Sadhu Shastra, and if somebody claims like this, that is a shallow understanding of Krishna consciousness. But in current situation, when there is no unanimous statement by Guru Sadhu Shastra about a particular event, then we do need some basis, some level of critical thinking to evaluate whether a particular event is attributable to natural laws or it is attributable to the deities' reciprocation. Thank you. Hare Krishna.